Welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to on the show here today. The Brewers have made an announcement regarding their TV rights for the upcoming season, so we'll get into that coming up. Also, MLB Network has put out another top 10 right now list at the catcher position. But there is some other news here going on in the NL Central. The St. Louis Cardinals have made a trade here, shipping out Brendan Donovan to the Seattle Mariners in a 3-team deal. This was something that had been rumored about really all offseason as the Cardinals continue their tear down and rebuild. They've shipped out Wilson Contreras, they've shipped out Nolan Arenado, and now Brendan Donovan out as well. They've also shipped out Sonny Gray. They have moved a lot of their veteran pieces, getting rid of them as they're doing their full tear down and rebuild. So it is nice seeing the Cardinals have to do a tear down and rebuild for once, because for pretty much my entire life, they have always just been good and continually been good. Even when you think they're going to be bad, they somehow find a way to be annoying and be good. So glad to see that happening, although I really do like the return for the Cardinals, which means I really kind of don't like it because it's some really good players there. Gerangelo Sainja, who's a switch pitcher that the Brewers drafted out of high school, and I really wish they had signed him and prevented him from going to Mississippi State, but instead he chose to go to school, ends up getting drafted in the first round by the Mariners, and then the Mariners have now shipped him over to St. Louis. So the guy that the Brewers wanted to get, the guy that I would have loved to see the Brewers get, now he's going to be in a Cardinals uniform, and that's just painful. That just hurts. So that's kind of the tough side of prospecting, just kind of looking at these prospects, draft guys. You fall in love with certain players, and then they end up being on your division rivals, and that just hurts the worst. But he goes over there. Outfielder Ty Pete also goes to the Cardinals in this trade. They also get another guy, Colton Ledbetter from the Tampa Bay Rays, in this 3-team deal, and a comp pick, competitive balance round B pick this year. So another draft pick for the Cardinals. Not exactly thrilled with that. This is a rebuilding move for St. Louis. They're not really expecting to compete at all this year in the NL Central, but still, they're getting some good players, and it will not be that long until the Cardinals are back as a force in the NL Central that the Brewers are going to have to deal with, that they're going to have to stave off, because that is an organization that has been incredibly well run for so long, and now they've kind of made the transition here in terms of GMs to Chaim Bloom. So, now they've kind of fully shifted things over and they're starting a new era here. Who knows how long it'll take them, but still, they're an organization that you'd think they can get there sooner rather than later. So that does worry me a little bit, but I'm also very excited to not have to see Brendan Donovan all the time, because he also was becoming a big thorn in the Brewers' side as well. But their teardown continues down in St. Louis. Moving on, MLB Network has continued their series on the top 10 players at each position in the league. Now, previously on a couple other shows recently, talked about the second base position, where they had Bryce Terang down at 10th, which was incredibly disrespectful and incredibly wrong, I think, according to the Shredder, whatever the Shredder is. And just here on Monday night and then Tuesday here, they put out their top 10 catchers right now. And this one was, I think, a bit more correct. William Contreras ranked number 2 in Major League Baseball in the top 10 catchers right now. You could make an argument for Contreras to be the top catcher, to be the number 1 catcher in baseball, but coming in at number 1 was Cal Raleigh, who did kind of have like an absolutely incredible season with 60 home runs and just the absolute stupid numbers that he was putting up. So I'm good with Cal Raleigh being ranked number 1 for top 10 catchers right now. William Contreras being at 2, I will gladly take that. So I think that's the right spot for him to be. He's ahead of Will Smith, ahead of everyone else, all these other top guys at the position. It's Cal Raleigh and it's Contreras right behind him. So I think that's the correct order of things. I think the Shredder got this one right. They still got issues with second base. That list was horrible. But at catcher, they got those top spots pretty accurate. Also, we got to give congratulations to William Contreras here. Over the weekend, he got engaged to his longtime partner, Nick Solly. I know I'm butchering this, but Nick Solly Adames. That's right, Willie Adames' sister. So William Contreras is now engaged to Willie Adames' sister. So now Contreras and Adames are going to be brothers by law. After having been brothers essentially the past several years in Milwaukee. So very excited for that. Very excited for them, for the happy couple. Great for William Contreras. Having himself a fantastic offseason here. I mean, he had surgery on the finger, so the finger should be good to go. Gets engaged and now ranked the number 2 catcher in all of baseball, which I think is exactly the right spot where he should be in the rankings. So congrats MLB Network, you got that done correctly, but congrats to William Contreras for getting the ranking and getting engaged. I mean that's big, man. Happy for you. We also saw former Brewer Eric Lauer get married over the weekend as well. Bunch of former Brewers were there at that one. Josh Hader was there. Adrian Hauser was there. A bunch of his old teammates. So great to see that as well. So happy for Lauer. Happy for a lot of these guys. They're getting engaged or they're having their weddings because when you're a baseball player, this is the time to do it. If you're going to get married, if you're going to get engaged, do any of that, it's going to be a winter thing. I mean, you got to be planning for November, December, January for your weddings, for your big life events there. That's how you got to plan it out for these guys. But yeah, congrats to Contreras on that. Okay, so now, the big news that's going to impact the fans here, the television rights for the Milwaukee Brewers. They have officially gone away from FanDuel Sports Network and Main Street Sports Group because all of that, bankruptcy is happening again. They're not really getting a buyer. So the Brewers, along with 5 other teams, have officially turned their rights over to Major League Baseball, and MLB will produce and direct and put forth the television rights for the Brewers games this upcoming season. The Brewers announced it in a press release here, and really this isn't going to change a ton. It's going to change the channel that you're watching the Brewers games on. So it's not going to be FanDuel Sports Network, but I mean you can stream live through MLB TV. You can stream in market. So if you're in market, which is basically the entire state of Wisconsin, plus some areas stretching into Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, the UP, I think also has some Brewers in market stuff. But basically, if you're in state here, if you're in market, you will have in market viewing. You will be able to get the games. Either direct-to-consumer streaming, cable, satellite. They're all going to be available. They have not made an announcement yet where those are going to be. They've not made an announcement on what channel it's going to be. That's going to be in the coming weeks. But they're going to have the whole linear distribution on cable, on satellite, and on streaming. MLB.TV is going to have that. You're going to have packages that you can buy there for the in-market Brewer games, and they'll put all those details out together once that they actually have it finalized. But MLB is going to put that forth together. So it's also going to bring in some new things to the broadcast that MLB has that FanDuel Sports Network has not, including we got drones, wire cam, umpire cam. We're going to have some of those during the games. So that's going to be fun to see during these broadcasts. So very excited for that. But you're going to have every single game, all 162 of them, will be available either through local distribution or the national games that have already been announced or could be announced, games that are taken nationally. Those will all still be available. So you're still going to be able to watch your Brewers on TV every single night. It's just going to be a different channel. It's just going to be a different manner of viewing it. So they have not put out all the details on that yet, but they did make the announcement, okay, we're no longer waiting on FanDuel Sports Network to figure it out. We are going with Major League Baseball, and we are just going to see where that takes us. So that's where they're going to end up going. So this has been a long time coming with FanDuel having the issues that they've been having, the decline of regional sports networks. It's only a matter of time. There are 3 teams that decided to stick with it for now, or at least are undecided in terms of what they're going to do with their TV rights, but the Brewers along with several other teams, announced today. It's like, okay, that's it. Like, we're into February now. We got to make it official. Like, we have got to make a decision, and they're going with Major League Baseball, going with the safe option, making sure they get their games on the air, and they can have some time to get everything set out ahead of time here. So, because you're getting spring training started, because guess what today is? Okay, Tuesday here. This is Truck Day. Okay, we have the truck departing American Family Field for American Family Fields of Phoenix. Okay, it is packed up with baseballs, bats, helmets, catcher's gear, everything. It is packed up with all the stuff, and they are shipping it down to Phoenix for spring training. It is coming up so quickly. I cannot wait for it. Truck Day is basically the start of spring training. It's the start of all this. Yes, you have pitchers and catchers report, but they can't report unless the baseballs and stuff get there from Truck Day. And that's what's happening on Tuesday here. So it's about that time. So we've got Truck Day. The Brewers have made their decision on their television rights. So everything's all lining up. They're putting it all into place, getting their ducks in a row for the 2026 season to get started. But the 2026 season will get started, and it'll be without one of the former Brewers players trying to play in it, and that is Avi Garcia, who has announced his retirement from Major League Baseball after a really solid career that he ended up having. I mean, he didn't live up to maybe necessarily all the hype, which wasn't really his fault, when he was coming up through the Tiger system. But Garcia, he played 13 years in Major League Baseball. I mean, there is nothing to sneeze at there. That is a very, very strong career. Hit 263 with 140 home runs in his career, an OPS plus of 100. So an exactly league average hitter over his career. Spent 2 seasons with the Brewers in 2020 and 2021. 2020 season wasn't all that great. That was a weird year for just about everyone. But in 2021 with the Brewers, had 3.1 wins above replacement, hit 29 bombs, hit 262, 119 OPS plus, just a phenomenal season. In a contract year for him, did really well. I mean, that was the second best season of his entire career. He had an all-star season in 2017 with the White Sox, but still, I mean, that was his best season in terms of home run totals. 29, his previous high was 20. So 29 homers, 86 RBIs that year, career highs in all those categories. And he turned that into a 4-year, $53 million contract with the Marlins. A contract that aged very poorly for the Marlins. He dropped off considerably after that. Then Garcia dealt with some injuries, missed all of last season with a back injury, herniated discs, things like that. And ultimately that ended his career. I mean, he's 34 years old. So you'd think, a player like that, at 34 would still be able to have, some years left in him to bounce around. But Garcia, just with how much he struggled the past few years and dealt with injuries, recognized that it was time to hang it up and is just moving on to his post-playing days. So congratulations to Avi on a fantastic career that he had. Really helped have some great memories for that 2021 Brewers team. And, wish him all the best, really, in his post-playing career, what he ends up doing. I'm sure it's going to be some great things, and perhaps he'll end up staying around in the game of baseball in some form or fashion. A lot of these players do. Just kind of very excited for what's next for him. But congrats to Avi Garcia, truly, on a really good, strong career. The great memories that he gave us with the Brewers across 2 seasons, but mostly in 2021. Because in 2020, I don't know if anyone has any good memories of anything from that year. That was just a horrendous year all around for all involved. That'll be curtains for him, and that's curtains for this show today, at least. Before we're back again tomorrow, be sure to subscribe to Brewers Daily. Get notified every single time a new episode drops. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.